Reporting to the media this week at Post-Executive Council Media Briefing are the Secretary and Assistant Secretary of the Division of Community Development, Enterprise Development and Labour, Assemblyman Marcelin Melville Jack and Assemblyman Shamari Hector, respectively, as well as the Secretary of the Division of Tourism, Culture and Transportation, Councillor Nadine Stewart Phillips.
I will begin by reporting on the participation of Tobago entrepreneurs at the Tobago Roadshow. And this was held during the period 23rd to the 25th of May 2019 under the theme Unveil, Discover, Invest Tobago. And the mantra that we approached this roadshow with was, come and see, Tobago, this is we heritage. So this roadshow was a collaboration between the Division of Tourism, Culture and Transportation, as well as the Division of Community Development, Enterprise Development and Labour. And I'm here to report that this roadshow was a tremendous success. What we attempted to do was to kill two birds with one stone. So it was an attempt to present the culture of Tobago and to encourage our Trinidad brothers and sisters to come to Tobago and participate in the Tobago Heritage Festival. You will hear a little bit more about that from our esteemed secretary in a little while. Let me move on very quickly to the entrepreneurs that were part of that roadshow. I'll have you know that so successful was that enterprise that over that 3-day period, they accumulated sales in excess of $125,000. And I want to say hats off to our entrepreneurs, because you would understand that most of them are young. Some of the businesses are relatively new. And to gather that kind of response and support from the Trinidad audience was really remarkable. What was also interesting, it wasn't designed this way, but it worked out to our advantage, is that this roadshow came on the heels of a very negative comment about Tobagonians, where we were described as lazy and unproductive. And it could have been 2 weeks after we were at Trin City Mall with the roadshow. It was as if we were saying, in your face, because what we produced on those days was so excellent that many Trinidadians had no idea that all this activity was taking place in Tobago. So I would just want to share with you a few highlights of what we were able to achieve during that roadshow. Zib's Homemade Ice Cream, over that period, served over 700 persons and established contacts with at least 3 ice cream shops in Trinidad, and they are currently working out the details of having their products sold in Trinidad. I will move very quickly to Misha's signature flavor. She does pepper sauce. And I can tell you it's the first time that I have ever tasted sorrel pepper sauce. You need to try it. And she is currently brokering a deal with Total Local Promotions, Caribbean Limited, for them to carry her products at their store, which is located at Piarco Airport. Now, needless to say, Mr. Edward Jones of the Support detergent brand was a tremendous success. As a matter of fact, after 2 days, he was sold out and had to seek to get additional supplies from Tobago to satisfy the customers. So he was able to sign a deal with Extra Foods for distribution of his products in 4 outlets. He also received an order from Marriott Hotel, who would now be using his multi-purpose cleaner in their hotels. And he is now brokering a deal with another investor from Trinidad. What was amazing to me is that he was also able to secure warehousing space in Trinidad. And this is not only for Mr. Jones, but for any Tobago entrepreneur who is willing to have their products marketed in Trinidad. Mr. Jonathan Daniel of Daniel's Delight, who is famous for his chicken and fish ham, also created quite a stir in the Trinidad market. The fish ham in particular was something new to them. So not only was he sold out, but he received quite a few orders to have the fish ham on sale at most of the supermarkets in Trinidad. So this collaborative effort did not just showcase the entrepreneurs, but we showcased the talents that were resident in Tobago. I want to tell you that we put on 2 shows daily, and this was done by the Festivals Commission within the Division of Tourism, Culture and Transportation. What they did in actual fact was to create, I should say, a capsule of what the Tobago Heritage Festival was about. And they presented this to the Trinidad audience, who lapped it up. And we look forward to an increased local visitor arrival starting from Friday, which is when the Tobago Heritage Festival opens. I'll now turn you over to the Assistant Secretary in our division, who will give you a rundown on Expo Caribe 2019, which was held in Santiago de Cuba, and he was responsible for leading the Tobago contingent.
I am happy to report on Expo Caribe 2019 in Santiago de Cuba. As you are all keenly aware, this exercise was led by Minister of Trade, the Honorable Porga Gopi-Schoon, while the Tobago arm of the contingent was led by me, Assistant Secretary Shumari Hector. We would have taken on this exercise 4 of our entrepreneurs from the island of Tobago who are best poised at this present time to penetrate the Latin American markets and that of the wider Caribbean. I am happy to report that those 4 entrepreneurs and their goods and services represent Rosson's Soft Furnishings, Tobago Teas, the Support line products, as well as Bees Naturals. Firstly, you ought to have an appreciation for the fact that the exercise gave these entrepreneurs an opportunity to showcase their goods and their products and to market Destination Tobago as a place worthy of external investments to develop the island and its economy. They would have engaged further in business-to-business discussions so as to allow for strategic collaborations and the likes that would allow for their products to penetrate those markets more seamlessly. I am happy to report to you as a result, in respect of Rosson's Soft Furnishings, that she would have commenced discussions with the Director of Tourism to provide linen for 2 hotels. The discussions are ongoing, and I do not wish to be the one to preempt these types of negotiations and commit to anything just yet. What I would instead wish for all of us to do is to lend our interest to ensure that we follow these developments and lend our support to ensure that they are favorable to the Rosson Soft Furnishing brand and to the people of Tobago. I also wish to indicate, in respect of Tobago Teas, that approvals were given through Export TT to attend the LAC Flavors Convention in Colombia. You ought to know that LAC Flavors is one of the key foods and beverages forums in that region, connecting hundreds of Latin American markets and market shareholders. In respect of the support line of products, one of the major leads, as you would have heard from Secretary Marcin Melville Jack, is the opportunity for warehousing facilities to be provided the line. A request from St. Vincent, in addition, St. Vincent and the Grenadines came that would allow for the product to be exported from Tobago, or rather from Trinidad and Tobago, to be able to penetrate those markets. Quickly, Bees Natural In addition to individual orders, discussions with the Chamber of Commerce are ongoing to have her products or her line of products penetrate the pharmaceutical markets and pharmaceutical companies. It must be understood that it takes a minimum, and this is in relation to all of our entrepreneurs who went to Santiago de Cuba. It takes a minimum of 1 year of discussions before businesses are really able to penetrate the Latin American markets and yield some measure of profitability. And so we want to encourage the people of Tobago, and more so the people of the national community, to be able to support these products and support these entrepreneurs as we attempt to distinguish ourselves. Finally, before I hand over to my secretary again, I just want to report to you that meaningful conversations were had. One of the most impactful conversations, in my view, was the one that was held by the Forum of Trade Organizations promoting the wider Caribbean territory. In those discussions, some of the key topics that were discussed was the organizational structure of the trade organizations, the strategic approaches to collaboration to ensure that the wider Caribbean markets are well penetrated, the planned expansion for the promotion of goods and services in the Latin American territories, and the potential for partnerships with international training institutions. It will be noteworthy to appreciate that at present the Arthur Lutjak has been incorporated into the trade organization and are in present collaborations with international universities to offer specific courses here in Trinidad and Tobago. Finally, one of the things that came out most significantly was the importance for entrepreneurs and service providers to be able to partner with tourism agencies and stakeholders in the tourism industry. I would have you know that while at Santiago, Cuba, the rich culture of Cuba was showcased consistently and continuously. However, the interest was still there for Trinidad and Tobago's culture and cultural festivities, including its heritage, to be packaged so as to penetrate that market. They are quite interested in our offerings, and oftentimes as Tobagonians, we take it for granted that our respective heritages and our cultures are of very little value or very little worth. And so I am very grateful that the Secretary for Tourism is here and Culture and the likes is here, because she would help to put it into perspective how we can use the opportunities afforded us to be able to brand and package our cultures and our way of lives so that they can lend a fillip and give rise to the works and the services and the products that will now be exported from Tobago and from Trinidad and Tobago to penetrate Caribbean and international markets. So ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned and continue to follow the development of these young entrepreneurs as we help them to penetrate these international markets.
Now, it seems as if the Business Development Unit is not resting, because in the month of July, just a few days ago, they participated in the TIC 2019, which is the Trade and Investment Convention. And today's Business Express, which I'm holding up for you, says it all. Tobago tops TIC. And this is very, very instructive, because it did not say a division tops. It says Tobago tops. And I want you to also understand that I'm showing another section. We also got another 2 pages. And it says, Tobago entrepreneurs step up at TIC 2019. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is excellent news for Tobago, because again, we went as a joint team to this convention. So the Division of Tourism, Culture and Transportation, the Division of Finance and the Economy, and the Division of Community Development, Enterprise Development and Labor formed the THA's contingent to TIC. And again, when people came to TIC, what they got was a total experience of Tobago. The Tobago Tourism Agency was there. So they were able to sell Tobago to the more than 300 exhibitors that were there from 29 different countries. We also had Inez Development, so they were able to say, come invest in Tobago, because they were showcasing houses as well as building plots. Present there also were all our entrepreneurs. I think there were about 18 at that time. And I will also just give you a few more success stories before I turn over to Secretary Nadine Stewart Phillip, who will bring us up to date on what's currently happening for heritage. Again, Ted Jones. Remember that name because it is going international, not just regional. The Support brand of products, dishwashing liquid, laundry detergent, and multi-purpose cleaner. He is now in the market for an additional supermarket, super quality. They are now interested. They want to carry his entire product line. He got a Jamaican firm. They want him to mass produce for their company. Label House Trinidad Limited is interested in redesigning his logo so that it has more appeal for the regional and international markets. Two importers from Barbados are interested in having him produce 1 container load per month. What this is saying, ladies and gentlemen, is an expansion of production which speaks jobs as well. And this is exactly what we are looking for in Tobago at this time. And I can also report that 2 major financiers in Trinidad are interested in investing in his company financially. These discussions are ongoing, so we pray that everything goes well for the Support brand of product. And at this time, I won't share much more, only to say that the Assembly, the Tobago House of Assembly, under the visionary leadership of Chief Secretary Kelvin Charles, is really going places. We are saying that Tobago is open for business because the Tobago Road Show was his conception. He said, we are normally lost in TIC. So let's go to Trinidad and have our own TIC, which we did. And the interest that was generated was so great that when people came to the actual TIC, everybody rushed to the Tobago booth, hence the positive reviews that we received in today's Express.
Based on what you just heard from my colleagues, I am sure you all can conclude that this Kelvin Charles administration, all the divisions of the Tobago House of Assembly, we are working together. We are getting our people of Tobago ready to ensure that Tobago continues to go beyond ordinary. This afternoon, I would confine my discussions and my updates to developments at the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited, our Rural Film Initiative, our Arts Push program at the Department of Culture, and I will conclude with the 2019 staging of the Tobago Heritage Festival. As we continue in our efforts to market Destination Tobago, the Tobago Tourism Agency has been active in all our major source markets. The agency hosted an award-winning travel journalist from Ireland for a fast-paced press trip from June 11th to 18, 2019, as part of the marketing efforts to promote unspoiled, untouched, and undiscovered Tobago. And if you just permit me to explain, press trips, also known as media familiarization trips, are effective ways for travel journalists to become familiar with the product that is being offered by the destination. And that is in order to effectively and compellingly write about their experiences and persuade potential visitors to book. The Irish press was specifically targeted for this trip as the Irish market is a potentially rich source of business. Its steadily growing rate of outbound travel over the past few years has reached a rate of approximately 1.73 annual overseas trips per head, as opposed to UK's market 1.1 annual overseas trips. This also will assist in supporting our airlift that we have for winter via Manchester out of the north of England and aligns with our marketing trust. The Tobago Tourism Agency Limited organized a radio and digital campaign with Capital 95's 106 FM in the UK. This resulted in a user-generated video on the destination and received widespread circulation amongst their 7.3 million listeners. The destination's participation at the Huron Fringe Birding Festival 2019 was indeed beneficial to the eco-adventure and nature niche and the destination as a whole. The event provided the destination the opportunity to showcase to over 400 participants, including 100 persons who were new to this event. The vast variety of birds and other products offered by the destination. The evening session featured presentations by Mr. Newton George, which is Tobago's son of the soil. He's from Speyside, Tobago, speaking about birding in Tobago. Newton is widely acclaimed as Tobago's premier birdwatching and natural history guide. Newton gave a presentation to an audience of more than 60 people, avid birders who were keen on hearing about the destination. As part of the strategy outlined in the roadmap for growth to align Tobago with media channels that can appropriately position Destination Tobago, a familiarization trip was hosted to educate Siren Communications on the various offerings of the destination. Siren Communications is a media company which was engaged by the Tobago Tourism Agency to assist with our brand launch held in Canada earlier this year. The primary focus of this trip was to showcase the range of room stock available on the island and experiences that are aligned to the 4 pillars and the primary niches established in the go-to-market strategy. It was a worthwhile exercise as this familiarization trip will serve as the foundation on which the upcoming press trips earmarked Canada-based media partners are built. This was deemed essential to ensure that the storylines established are authentic and inspiring to make the necessary impact on the Canadian travel market. In Germany, Tobago is currently being featured throughout the Thomas Cook Active Walls program. This program runs in retail agencies and has been very well received. I know you have heard about the collaboration with National Geographic Explorer as part of a project that the TTAL has with that magazine to promote Tobago. Now, this project with Nat Geo continues from our initial placement in the December issue. The primary objective was to introduce the new destination imagery and drive awareness to an upmarket audience with a travel-specific interest across the glossy monthly travel destination titles for which Nat Geo is known. Phase 1, the first part of the trip, covered all the interviews by the journalists to feed the storylines and articles to be featured. The second trip will cover eco-adventure and the vivid, lush greenery of Tobago and will take place towards the end of this month. The Content Hub, once live in this month, July 2019, will be integrated into relative marketing activities across all our source markets. So we are very optimistic about the future of our island's tourism industry as we seek to explore and capitalize on lucrative opportunities. From the product development standpoint, work continues on the administration of the Tourism Accommodation Upgrade Program with continuous facilitation with applicants and prospective applicants. The agency recently completed phase 1 of the product audit. The first phase of the tourism product audit focused on the accommodation components of the tourism product offerings here on the island of Tobago and included a database review. TTAL was able to garner pertinent information about the accommodation sector on the island of Tobago from this product audit. It revealed that Tobago has at least 3,700 rooms offered by 580 properties, and these properties are hotels, our large hotels and villas, our small properties offering bread and breakfast services, as well as a number of self-catering establishments. Phase 2, which includes sites and attractions, and Phase 3 will include activities such as tours, soft adventure, and birding are ongoing. And this, of course, is in keeping with the core pillars of our growth strategy and brand. Just to mention some of the upcoming activities of the agency, the project collaboration part 2 with National Geographic, the hosting of our Canadian press trip here, our familiarization trips, collaboration with Caribbean Airlines, Germany familiarization trips, and preparation for participation at World Travel Market 2019, amongst other activities. Under the Department of Culture, our Tobago Rural Film Initiative, the division continues to invest in the creative and cultural industries. And I'm heartened to say that we are steadily moving ahead and making progress with the Tobago Rural Film Initiative. This Rural Film Initiative was launched in April 2019, and if I can just remind you, is geared toward documenting and showcasing Tobago's cultural norms and practices in its truest form through film. In my last media briefing, I indicated there was a call for submission of scripts. We received 15 scripts from various community groups across the island, which were examined by international film experts, Dr. Ika Bunton and Miss Annabelle Alcazar, both of whom have extensive experience in the field of film, having worked for a number of years in both Eastern and Southern Africa, India, the United Kingdom, and the Caribbean. 4 heritage scripts were officially selected by the judges. The winning scripts were: 1, The African in We by Annette Alfred of Charlottesville Heritage Performers; 2nd, The Letter by Len Phillips representing the Montclair District; 3rd, The Ancestral Bloodline by Wendell Berkeley of Pembroke Heritage Group; and the 4th group, Old Time Wedding by Tasha Frank of Moriah Heritage Group. The selected script writers with members of their community team proceeded to the 2nd phase of the Rural Film Program, which consisted of an in-depth film production and scripting workshop, which was held on the 6th and 7th of July 2019. The intent of the workshop was to assist the writers with developing their plays into 30-minute short film scripts. The first phase of the workshop was conducted by film professionals Danielle, Juliet, and Mr. Dave Elliott. 28 persons were in attendance at this workshop and were given the necessary tools and training to begin the process of developing their film scripts. The selected winners were also taught thorough interactive learning, how to pitch an idea for a film to acquire funding from producers. The script writers with their team were mandated to begin the transformation process of their stage scripts to film scripts, with the first draft to be presented by the 2nd week in September, when another workshop will be held. The final drafts of the scripts will be presented by the last week in October, which will include workshops with the various cast and crew from the communities. And the focus of this workshop will be on acting for film, costume and film, makeup, pre-production and production, that is budgeting, set design and props, scheduling releases, legal requirements. Filming would be from January to May of 2020 in order for the films to be ready to be showcased at Tobago Heritage Festival 2020.
Thank you for tuning in to another Post Executive Council media briefing for the week ending July 13, 2019.